You are the self, and never another. And other does not truly exist. And the self, in truth, alone exists. That you are the self and cannot be another is to be realized by self-knowledge. You are the self, so this means that you cannot be anything perceived, and you cannot be anything conceived. For a conception or a perception is about another, and is not you. Non-dual self-knowledge or self-realization must be of the very same nature as the self. So this knowledge, just as the self is not something perceived or conceived, cannot be a perception or a conception. The idea of being another is delusive, and such ignorance is to be removed in order for self-realization to shine clearly. How then do you remove the idea? We cannot remove the idea with anything of a grosser nature than the idea itself. So no particular physical action and no particular physical sensation, no particular bodily condition can remove the false idea, the idea that you are another. No particular physical activity can remove the idea of another. And again, the removal of being another cannot be accomplished through a mental activity. For if one idea is used to replace another, the other might replace the one idea at some time in the future. So when one idea replaces another, let us say an idea more reflective of the truth, replaces the idea of being another, of dualism. Though there may be some temporary relief, as long as the better idea holds sway, there's no permanence in it. And the Maharshi says, what is not eternal is not worth seeking. But what we seek to realize is that which is eternal. Now, if it is eternal, it must be without beginning or end, that is, unborn and imperishable. And just as no body is unborn and imperishable, but the truth is, so likewise no idea is unborn and imperishable, though the truth is. Sri Bhagavan says that you must inquire to find out who you are, who am I? And then the false notion of being another will be destroyed. What is this inquiry? It's not something gross or subtle. For those inclined toward a path of self-knowledge, how it is nothing to do with the body should be plainly evident. We should also see that it has nothing to do with the mind. Yet advice is also given by the wise to turn the mind inward. What actually happens when we turn the mind inward? What is actually occurring? If we are truly turning the mind inward, detaching ourselves from that which is transient and unreal, and not our happiness, disidentifying from false ideas, then what we're seeing is the shining of knowledge. Not an idea, not a perception, but the shining of knowledge. If we comprehend this, then we understand Shankara's instruction concerning action, knowledge, and liberation much more clearly, or with much more depth. For again and again he says, action does not lead to liberation. Knowledge alone is liberation. That this is true pertaining to the actions of the body is clear enough, easy enough. It also pertains to the movements of the mind. Yet again the advice is given, turn the mind inward, dissolve the mind. How does that occur? It is no mere mental activity, but the shining of knowledge. Knowledge of your own identity. And your own identity is not a mental activity, nor is it changed by a mental activity. For you are always the consciousness which, though knowing all activity, is utterly transcendent of every activity, every kind of mental state, every kind of mental mode, transcending even the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states. What should be practiced then? Knowledge, which is simultaneously the end and the means. As the means, it is who am I. As the end, it is absolute silence. If you practice in this way, you will realize in this way, for realization is never different than the practice. If you practice in this way, there will be no duality for you, nor will you meet with any kind of obstruction. And what you realize in a state of knowledge will be without beginning and without end. For you yourself are without beginning and without end. So inquiring, what are you doing with your mind? On the one hand, we can say you are dissolving the very form of the mind. On the other hand, what is the mind's real nature after all? On the one hand, we can say we're destroying the mind. On the other hand, how is it possible to destroy something that has never come to be? Inquiring, we are destroying the ego. However, the ego has never actually been created. It is not a real thing. Knowledge reveals reality, but it does not reveal it to another. It is revealing, ever revealing, itself to itself. For the truth shines in that knowledge in which there is no other. You cannot be another. Knowledge reveals this. Therefore, knowledge liberates from all the imagined bondage. For the bondage can pertain only to another, but another has not ever actually been. If there appears to be samsara, turn inward. Turning inward is in knowledge. The essence of knowledge is self-knowledge. Who am I? Inquiring, there is no samsari, no one who has the samsara. What is realized is always the case. Inquire with knowledge and be certain regarding your nature, the sole existent reality.